excited about it. But seriously, take 2 minutes, guys. And Mrs. Williams, Mrs. James, when they come in, let's give them 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Because we start on time 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? We just giving it 2 minutes to share the link with a sister, a brethren, a friend, a lover, an ex-lover, a brother, a sister, a cousin. Share it. We want people, trust and believe, we know we're going to make numbers this evening. So we want persons to be able to come in and be blessed. Mrs. James, all is yours.
Good evening, sir, and thank you very much.
But before Mrs. James, before we go there, I want people to understand something, Before we go there. If anybody don't know who Royette Williams James is, all you have to understand that to be able to get this woman for free, all you getting something for free. No, this is no joke thing, right? When she heard of the project, she was able to say, yeah, I'll come in with you, Mr. Edwards. We're doing this together. And I want to say thank you very much on behalf of Dash Trace Youth Empowerment Committee and also Futsal Association for doing this for free. If you all check out her social media page, which has over 10,000 followers, and you see every single week she's doing something, you'll understand what I say when this is a heavy hitter, a gatekeeper when it comes to mental health in Trinidad and Tobago. And she's giving this for free. That's why I'm saying to you all again for the third and last time, tell a friend, send a message. This woman here, don't play. Mrs. Williams?
What?
Mrs. James, talk to you.
Hell of an introduction. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the president of the Futsal Association for having me with you guys this evening. Also, big up to Dash Trace and that combination that you guys have with the Futsal Association to bring the awareness of mental health to each and every one. So it be it a parent, a teacher, community member, sports person. Thank you very much for spending the next couple hours with me. Well, Mr. Geoffrey gave it to you guys straight. So those who are not accustomed with me, I am not the normal presenter. I am extremely unorthodox, and I'm very elated that he gave my disclaimer, because anytime I go anywhere to present, I had to tell the people and them, my mouth ain't easy. I don't mince words, I don't mix matters. I'm very straightforward, because we're dealing with something that, man, you cannot put water in your mouth to talk about it. It has to, you had to hit it straight. So that's what you're gonna get this evening. And what I'm doing this evening is attending to your children's mental health, but the information you will receive, it's going to be across the board. So it could be used for you as a parent, as well as how you entertain and assist your child and their mental health. So it's a very comprehensive presentation. You will see some videos. I will give you an explanation, because I have a huge background in that area, and I advocate a lot. And not only it's part of my job, my 8 to 4 job in Trinidad and Tobago, but I also have a loved one which was diagnosed 8 to 9 years ago with a mental illness. And I have been taking care of that person hands down and supporting that individual. And I have quite a number of folks that I support when it comes to mental health and mental illness. Imagine last night I am on a phone with a friend. She called my phone 11:45, and when I pick up the phone, I say, what? When I pick up, I say, that is a joke. She said, no, I just want to talk. I said, all right, I'll listen in. Put on my headphones, and by the time we clock off, it was 1 hour, 35 minutes. I'm talking to this lady, and this lady going back 1910 and talking about her issues with mental health and St. Anne's and her family. And let me tell you something, Nana. Out there, they got a lot of persons who have serious issues with mental health and mental illness, and they don't really have nobody to talk to, nobody to reach out to. And I mean, that's why I jump on this bandwagon with Mr. Mark and the rest of his crew, because anybody who is interested in changing the conversation around mental health and mental illness, I will be with you, because that is what I want us to do. So after the presentation today, and it is quite a comprehensive one, and I always tell people, if you have to log off, you log off. But I am on this platform till the fat lady sings. I ain't leaving until I'm done. So if you have to log off, fair enough. You might have to go and make dinner for the man, or, you know what I mean? Or dress up in your cat suit or something. But you guys gotta stay. Whoever wanna stay with me, because we going down. We're going down to the wire. So permit me to share my screen, you all. I'm sharing my screen right now. So I was introduced, a healthy introduction to it. I don't understand that. Let me widen up the screen for you guys to see. So we're talking mental health and mental illness. So we're gonna try to understand the difference between mental health and mental illness, because some people think it's the same thing and it is not the same thing. All right, so we'll try to understand that. We will look at the risk factors, how we predispose our children, or how we as adults are predisposed to mental illness. Also, we will look at the top 10 warning signs that will give you an indicator, one indication that you really gotta check yourself as it relates to your mental health. We will look at mental illnesses that affect adolescents, and not only adolescents, but across the board. We will look at how we start the conversation, and of course, practical ways in which we could fix this thing. Good? So that is what the presentation is going to be about today. But first and foremost, I need to make you guys understand something. And all you, I can't sit still when I'm presenting, so don't worry as I'm moving. I have to move. That's just how my body is. So let me try to let all you understand something. In order to understand our young people, you really have to understand who they are. So if you the screen and all the information will be on the screen. Oh, you give me a second here. I'm in a class. Call me back at night. So on the screen has adolescent is a crucial period for developing and maintaining social and emotional habits that's important for mental well-being. And it includes adopting healthy sleep patterns, exercise, developing coping, problem solving, interpersonal skills, and learning to manage emotion. So sit down and you will get the point that we're talking about the kids that we interact with on a daily basis, whether in our whole household, whether it's by the neighbor, whether it's in our community, whether it's in our sports group. Now, the environment, the supported environments in the family and school and the wider community is important. All right? Now, people, one of the most challenging statistics that come across to us as it relates to mental health and mental illness is the World Health Organization states that between 10 and 20% of our young people experience mental health conditions. And the most damaging thing about that statistics is a lot of these conditions remain underdiagnosed and undertreated. So our young people who might have serious challenges in this life, exposed to a myriad of things in this life, they are made vulnerable, especially if you have a mental illness. You are made vulnerable to social exclusion, discrimination, stigma, we have a big problem with that, education difficulties, risk-taking behaviors, physical ill health, and of course, human rights violation. So from everything that I would have mentioned to you, it should give you an indication that our young people are having serious issues, and supporting agents as the family and the school and the sporting groups and community and clubs and societies, they are the ones who are supposed to stand in the gap to assist our young people. So that is where you and me come in. Now we have a shadow, or we have a cloud over mental health and mental illness. And that cloud is stigma. So a lot of persons who might be having challenges with emotions and so on, and they are so overwhelmed with all the issues in their life, but they are afraid to talk about it because they are afraid of what people will see. They are afraid of what society, their family members might come across as being an embarrassment. Let me tell you something. You could imagine you sleeping in your bed 2 o'clock in the morning and you getting a call that you have to go and pick up your loved one somewhere down south. You have to jump in your car. You have to make sure you have a bag because you don't know what state you're going to meet that loved one. If he have clothes, if he have no clothes on, if he in a mess, how he is. You understand what I'm saying? That is what when we talk mental health, these are things that we need to pay attention to. And if we are not supportive to especially our young ones, we're going to have some serious problems. So a lot of us seem to not understand the umbrella term itself, which is mental health. And mental health encompasses social, emotional, mental, psychological well-being. And it is something that affects the way in which we think, the way in which we feel, and the way in which we behave. For your information, it is something that all of us have. So even though we're looking at these social institutions, family, society, the church, etc., or adults, even though the presentation is for you and how you have to attend to your children and your adolescent mental health, you need to understand, as Mr. Mac rightly said, if you cannot attend to your own self, there is no way you will be able to help anybody else. So the first lesson, and I like to make everything a teachable moment, so I make sure you have all your pen and all your paper, because you're writing to write it. We all have mental health. So you need to understand that first. So the same way in which you place focus on your physical health, you get a little pain, you run by the doctor, you take a Panadol. The same way you look at your sexual health, you have to make sure the thing working. I hope all you have no children in all your background, because I tell all you I lose. You understand me? Our spiritual health, we make sure we connect to our supreme one. We pray, we read our Bible, and our academic and cognitive health. You understand? We place emphasis on every other single domain in our life. But when it comes to our mental health, that is part and parcel of us, and it is connected with our physical health, we are ashamed, we are embarrassed, we hiding, we can't talk because we don't want to, make someone get angry. We don't want nobody to look at us funny. We don't want nobody to call us mad and we loco and we this and we that. But you get it right. It is something that we all have.
On our everyday feelings.
Sorry.
These feelings hang around for a long time.
You can't tell how someone feels just by looking at them or what they share online. To the outside world, our lives may look perfect, even if in reality they aren't. I'm always worrying about doing well at school, and with the end of year test coming up, I'm not sure how much longer I can cope. My thoughts swarm around my head, sometimes keeping me up all night. Some days it's just all too much, and I feel like I'm lost in space. When I did badly on one of my tests, I just about kept it together until I got home. Then I broke down crying in front of my mum. She listened for a bit, and then she told me that, just like physical health, we all have mental health. It's our feelings, our thinking, our emotions, and our moods. She then said that feeling down, angry, and stressed is a normal part of life, just like it's normal to feel happy, confident, and carefree sometimes. We all have positive and negative emotions that come and go based on what's happening around us. These are everyday feelings. Good mental health means experiencing negative emotions. It's not always about being happy. Mum can relate to the feelings of stress. So when Mum suggested I take a break from everything and do something I enjoy, I actually took her advice. So I made myself a hot chocolate, snuggled up in a duvet and watched a film. And you know what? Afterwards I felt so much better. Mum should take her own advice.
Most of us only ever share the good things. We don't like to share how we really feel. Every morning when I wake up, negative thoughts stream through my head. Getting out of bed and pretending I'm okay takes all the energy I have. As the day goes on, the negative thoughts turn from a stream into a river. The water rushes through my head so loudly it's hard to concentrate in lessons. And some days it's so bad it feels like a waterfall that's trying to pull me over the edge. Everything is so overwhelming. I didn't think my friends would understand if I told them how down I was feeling. But when Sasha opened up to me about how stressed she was feeling, I told her. I wasn't sure how to bring up how I'd been feeling, so I started by saying that I didn't feel like myself. Just her listening made me feel like she understood. She told me some things that had helped her, so I tried them too, but it didn't make much of a difference. Even when I tried to be around my friends, I felt alone. The things I used to enjoy weren't fun anymore.
I was really worried about Andre and not sure what to do. He was quiet and wasn't hanging out with us like he used to. So I asked our head of year for some advice. He suggested I get Andre to speak to him since his negative feelings weren't going away.
I didn't want to speak to our head of year, but I also didn't want to keep feeling so down, so I went. He said that sometimes we have overwhelming feelings that can be more intense than our everyday feelings. These feelings hang around for a long time and change the way we feel, think, and behave. They can stop us doing what we want to in life. That's what I was going through. He also said that if we're physically unwell, we let people know, we ask for help. It should be no different with mental health. Sometimes our overwhelming feelings are brought on because of things in our life. Sometimes they happen for no reason at all. After hearing this, I felt much less alone and it felt good to talk. Scientists have found exercise can help when you're feeling low, so our head of year encouraged me to sign up to the school football club, which Sasha was already in. I still have days when the river is there, but now I'm beginning to understand my mental health. I'm learning how to cope. Our head of year reminded me that my friends, family, teachers, and lots of others at school are there to help just as much as he is. I had no idea the people around me could be so understanding. And while it's not always easy to talk about my mental health, the person I'm talking to might be able to help. If you don't feel like talking, that's fine. You could try writing, sports, reading, art, music, playing with your pet, whatever makes you feel better.
If you're the person someone talks to when they're struggling, just listen with no pressure or judgments. You don't have to have the answer. If you feel unsure about anything, you can speak to a trusted adult. Talking about mental health doesn't have to be difficult. After all, it's something we all have.
Lovely. So it's something that we all have. So as per definition on your screen, and I would have alluded to it previously. Mental health encompasses our social, our mental, and our psychological well-being. So it is that state of well-being or that state of mind in which we are able to deal with the stresses of life, do not become so overwhelmed with them that we cannot function, and we are productive and contribute to our society. That is what mental health is. And it is something that all of us need to look after. Now, let me give you some statistics from the World Health Organization. I love my stats. I love research. The World Health Organization said 1 in every 6 people age 10 to 19 years old will have issues with their mental health. So that's the first statistic. Checks the age group we're dealing with, 10 to 19. That is adolescent age. Mental health conditions account for 16% of the global burden of disease and injury in persons 10 to 19 years old. People, stats are important. I know we don't like it in Trinidad, but it's very important. All right? Half of all mental health conditions start by age 14. And a lot of them go undetected and untreated. They tell you half by age 40. Globally, depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability among our young people. We are acquainted with depression. Suicide is the 4th leading cause of death in young people aged 15 to 19 years old. You're hearing statistics? And the consequences of addressing issues that relates to mental health, especially in our young people, it impairs both their physical health, it impairs both their mental health, and it limits the opportunity that these young people have in fulfilling a life as an adult. Now, if those statistics are talking to you, me don't know what talking to you. But you need to understand that we have a serious crisis and it is a global issue. Don't think it is just Trinidad and Tobago, you know. It is a global problem. If you go on the World Health Organization page and you go on mental health, you will see that trillions of dollars are being spent on mental health and mental illness. Globally, it is a financial issue. So you need to understand that if you are of sound mental health, you will not be contributing to the global burden. So we need to do a lot of things as it relates to our children as well as ourselves to ensure that we have that state of well-being where we are able to function. Now, here's the kicker. When you are unable to function, when your mental health becomes disrupted or disturbed, you end up having what is called a mental illness. So some people kind of confuse the two words. Mental health is that umbrella term. That is the state of well-being, psychological well-being that all of us got. But when it is affected, when we become overwhelmed, when we are unable to function, when our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior become distorted, then we have the issue of mental illness. So as you see on your screen, big and bold, mental illness is something that disrupts your mental state. And what does that say? It says that it disrupts how you feel, how you think, how you communicate, and how you behave. So that is what mental illness is. But some of us, who think that mental health is insignificant. We need to understand how important this thing is. This thing helps improve the quality of your life. When you are of sound mental health, you are able to cope with the stresses in your life. You are physically healthy. You are able to build good and healthy relationships. You are able to contribute positively to your communities. You are able to make good decisions. You are able to be productive. You are able to realize and reach your full potential. You are able to develop certain coping mechanisms that are positive. You are free from mental illness. And of course, the most important thing that a lot of us don't realize is when your mental health gets disturbed, obviously, it's going to affect your physical health. Both of them work together. So don't only place emphasis on your physical health, but also remember that your mental health, that state of well-being, that level of psychological preparedness, just remember how important it is. And if you remember this today, you will do everything that you possibly can to ensure that your mental health stays at the optimum. Now, what will contribute to illness? So we're getting down to the thing here now. So we would have understood mental health and how important it is. And that it is significant to one's life. And when this mental health gets disturbed, the likelihood of us having mental illness arises. But what places us, what predisposes us to mental illnesses? And on the screen has a myriad of risk factors. And I am sure you guys could read. You see the first one, and I made sure I put it at the top because some people not understanding how detrimental social media and social media interaction could be, especially to our young people. Now, I did a workshop a couple weeks ago. Some of you guys would have jumped on that Zoom. There is something called FOMO. Now, people, when all you hear me say something, write it down, because there is only so much I could tell. But that should spark your interest to go and do some further research to help yourself and your family. So let us go. So there is something called FOMO, F-O-M-O, the fear of missing out. That happens to our young people. They always want to be in the know. They always want to be connected. They're getting up in the night, they're checking their phone. They put a post, they want to see how many likes they get, and so on and so forth. That is a type of social anxiety. Go and research it. We have something called Facebook depression. Are you hearing me? There are mental illness that has been linked to social media interaction. And there are many more you will see in a while. Now we have issues with neurotransmitters. Some people might not know what that is. Neurotransmitters are brain chemicals. Now I tell people, you see our brain, it's one of the most powerful organs, if not the most powerful organ. And based on what is going on with us at a point in time, our brain will start to produce certain things, certain brain chemicals, or certain hormones, or the big word here, neurotransmitters. So if a lot of people who follow me, they know I love the brain, so they will hear me always talk about cortisol, and they will always hear me talk about DOSE. We come it up on the next slide. So let's go. So we have social media interaction. We have issues with certain amounts of brain chemicals, either underproduction or overproduction. History of trauma. No disrespect, Trinis, no disrespect to any one of all you, but if you are honest with yourself, you will not want to shoot me. I call Trinidad trauma central. We are exposed to a lot of trauma. My goodness, some of us could cope, some of us could cargo, some of us could manage, or we could manage, some of us could navigate, some of us can't. Our children get in the short end of this thing. All you are now pick up the phone there while the video was playing. And maybe for the third time for the day, some sexual abuse of some minor showing up on the platform. It has to be a plague. Our children are exposed to this history of trauma, and trauma starts, and if you do not know, trauma could affect the fetus. So the effects of trauma starts long before a child comes onto this earth. So in stomach, they call it in utero. Go and research that. Go and research the effects of cortisol, cortisol, on a fetus. If you think trauma is an easy feat, the places that we live in, homelessness, mental illness running in families, addiction, man, all you listening, I hope all you listening, little or no support. Anybody that is going through any issue with mental health, if they don't have support, well, boy, old people that say crap will smoke your pipe. That ain't no joke. I telling you that. The abuse of family members, the dismissive type of abuse and responses, the experience of having learning disorders, and those things could stem from when that child, when it was fetus in stomach, all the trauma that pregnant person was exposed to. All you go and read up on those things will make you change your thinking as it relates to mental health and mental illness, you know, history of aggression in family and in our communities. Problems in the juvenile justice system. A lot of our children are having issues in the courts. Some of our children are in where? YTC. Involvement in drugs and alcohol. Let us not even talk about that. Inability to control their behaviors. Problems in social and cognitive abilities, developmental delays, like things like autism. One of the questions people just ask me is if autism is a mental illness. I say, of course it is. It is a developmental issue. Children with low IQ, the association with delinquent and unhealthy and toxic peers, being rejected by your friends, children having serious identity problems right now. And I don't even want to go into that. That is another presentation for another time. Serious issues with academic performance. They are not committed into school. Problems in family life. Well, boy, that is a kicker in Trinidad and Tobago. Serious issues in our family. Serious. Low parental involvement or no parental involvement, and little or no attachment, no emotional bond. Our caregivers and parents are non-existent in the life of children. All those things on the screen, what it does is it predisposes our young people. It places them at a very high risk of mental illness. So the literature, and you will hear me say the literature, I mean, what is out there in the research and the developmental literature, what is out there for us to read and for us to Google? You understand me? What is out there actually identify, it cannot identify a single cause for mental illness. So to say, okay, it is this, it is that, no, they cannot. There is no single cause for mental illness, but our young people, ourselves, we are predisposed to a lot of challenges, a lot of stresses, a lot of risk factors, and so much so, we've got limited protective factors. So our risk factors that we are exposed to, they are overriding the protective factors that is available to us and our young people. So it is placing our young people at serious risk. So I need you to take a little while and listen to this video. It will tell you about how social media could affect young people's mental health.
Ways social media affects teen mental health. Social media is an absolute global phenomenon. Since emerging in the early 2000s, social media has exploded in popularity. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Twitter, as well as messaging services like WhatsApp, Viber, Skype, and Snapchat. They've given friends, family, and even complete strangers the ability to easily connect, create online profiles, upload photos, share videos, and communicate instantaneously. But with researchers reporting our youth spending up to 9 hours a day using some form of digital technology, are their minds equipped for navigating social media interactions? Does social media affect the mental health of our kids? We're social creatures, and our kids are no different. They crave connection, and unfortunately, sometimes we're not enough. Don't take it personally. It has to be said that social media is an absolutely vital tool when it comes to communication and networking. Learning how to use it effectively should be absolutely encouraged, but it pays to be aware of the way social media can affect your child's mental health. Depression. There is a definite correlation between social media use and depression. In several recent studies, teenage and young adult users who spent the most time on social media platforms were shown to have between 13 and 66% higher rate of reported depression than those who spent less time. Anxiety. Social media addictions have been demonstrated in research to cause anxiety disorders. Platforms such as Instagram have fueled an increase in diagnosed social anxiety disorders, and it's being noticed from teenagers all the way through adolescence into adulthood. Sleep deprivation. Social media apps are designed to keep us engaged, keep us scrolling, keep us swiping. That's why Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook feeds are an infinite timeline of content. Our kids check their phones before they go to bed, and they've opened their phones before they've even opened their eyes in the morning. A recent study reported 20% of teens regularly wake up in the middle of the night, log into social media, and then go back to sleep. These disrupted sleep patterns and late nights staring at a tiny phone in the dark wreak havoc on your child's mood, concentration, and eating habits. Jealousy and envy. We all feel a little jealous when we see someone with something we want or living a life we always dreamed of. Our teenagers feel these things too, but as their minds are still developing, they feel it on overcharge. They see their friend's picture-perfect profile and immediately start comparing their own life, coming up short. It's sometimes hard for our teens to understand that people only post their highs, when they look and feel their best. Most people hide their dark and ugly moments away from the internet. Unfair comparisons can lead to depression, loneliness, anger, and a variety of other issues. Body surveillance. Photoshopped and filtered photos can lead to a negative self-body image known as body surveillance. Teens who experience this become chronically overly judgmental of themselves and their appearance, which can lead to serious long-term self-esteem issues. Cyberbullying. In a survey, 72% of teens reported that they had been cyberbullied at some point. It can be way more vicious than face-to-face bullying, as the bullies, or groups of bullies, never really get to see the consequence of their hurtful comments. Cyberbullying is incessant. It happens out of sight from teachers and parents, and the victim literally can't escape. How can we help to protect our children on social media? As a parent, you're probably familiar with a handful of current social media platforms. Be aware of which ones your children use, and make sure they meet the minimum age requirements of the platform. When setting up an account, remind them of the importance of strict personal privacy settings. Not all platforms have this enabled as default, so take the time to make sure their account is set up correctly. This is the perfect time to discuss what information is appropriate to share online. Personal and private information should remain exactly that. Stranger danger still applies. While most people post pictures and videos with the best intentions, it's easy for things to be taken the wrong way or out of context, and when everyone is online, the wrong message can have long-lasting consequences. Talk to your kids about this and make sure they understand to only post pictures and videos that present themselves and others in a positive light. You can't monitor your child's social media activity 24/7, so maintaining a strong line of communication is important to understand what's going on with your child online. Tell them to only accept friend requests from people they know. Ask them to inform you whenever they receive messages or invites from strangers. Talk to them about the consequences of misusing social media. Ask them to tell you if someone is teasing or harassing them, as those could be signs of cyberbullying. Ask your child if you can add them as a friend on their social media platforms. Explain that it's not to spy on them, but rather that you're interested in their life. If you can't always be around, there are plenty of good software solutions available, specifically to keep your tween and teen safe from unwanted sites and dubious chat programs. Social media is a complex environment, but with the right discussion, understanding, and age-appropriate boundaries, kids can learn and understand the consequences of their online habits. Maturity, education, and a sense of perspective will help them navigate through all the negative effects social media can have on young minds.
Good. So, you would have learned a couple of things. Social media is very detrimental, or can be very detrimental, to our young people and their mental health. So we have issues. We have to look at issues of depression, anxiety. We have a big problem, sleep deprivation, very big problem with our young people, jealousy and envy, body surveillance, and cyberbullying. So I hope you got to write down your little note, your notations as we were going along. Now, also, I would have mentioned a while ago about the neurotransmitters. Now, they tell you one of the keys to our mental health is ensuring that these brain chemicals are produced at the optimum level. Now, we have the easiest way to remember it is DOSE. So we have dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So dopamine is responsible for motivating us, making sure that we achieve our goals and so on. Oxytocin is known as the love hormone. So it helps to create meaningful relationships. Serotonin is the mood hormone. So that is one of the chemicals that helps balance our moods and make sure our feelings are at bay. And we have endorphins, which is a hormone or a brain chemical that helps to alleviate anxiety and depression and so on. And also it is known as the pain reliever. So it helps deal with any amount of pain and stress. Now, you might ask, how do we get those hormones? How we get our body, our brain to produce these chemicals? And it's an easy answer. You get it. You get these brain chemicals on your screen to be produced based on activities that you do. And you could also get them in certain foods that you eat. Okay, so when you get the time, go and research the happy chemicals or the brain chemicals that affect our happiness and how we could get them to be produced in our bodies to make sure that we are happy and being able to navigate the stressors in our lives. All right, so let's roll. So people, one of the most interesting things about mental illness is how you are able to identify that you have an issue. What are some of the signs and the symptoms that will give you an indication that you are having issues with your mental health? Now, people, something you need to know, I have to put in a plug here. You cannot diagnose a mental illness by taking a blood test. All right? You cannot do that. How we are able to diagnose persons who might have mental health conditions is, there are different things that we have to do. Now, I'm going to mention something to you for those who do not know. There is a manual or a document called the DSM-5 that document or that manual is a very big book, and it contains many of the mental illnesses or mental health conditions that's out there. So it is placed in a way under various classifications. I think up to 30 plus different classifications there are for mental health conditions based on a criteria or based on certain signs and symptoms. However, on the screen, you are saying the common signs and symptoms that will give you an early indicator that you are having challenges with your mental health. So what you need to do is, as a parent, as a friend, as a family member, as whoever you are, you need to be very observant to see when there are changes in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of persons who are around you. Now, a very important thing to note is that in order for you to be able to have that idea that that person is having issues, the signs and symptoms must be evident, or it must be present for a specific length of time. So the length of time they give us is 2 weeks and more. So if you are feeling, or if those behaviors or those signs and symptoms on your screen are visible in the individual for 2 weeks, daily or near daily, they tell you, for 2 weeks and counting, then it gives you the indication that something is not right. So the feeling of down and withdrawal, isolation, trying to harm yourself or making plans to harm yourself, that out of control and risk-taking behavior, that overwhelming fear for no reason, physical discomfort, racing heart, you have issues breathing, the significant weight loss, so you have problems with your weight, you see or you hear or you believe things that are unreal, excessive use of drugs and alcohol, drastic changes in your mood and your personality and your sleep habits. You have problems concentrating and staying still, and you have serious worries and fears. And the thing is about it is, these signs and symptoms, when they are evident, what will really give you the indication is that they will start to affect your way of life. They will affect your normal way of life. So anytime these common signs and symptoms show up for that considerable length of time, some light bulb have to go up in your head, and you need to tell yourself, well, hear this, I need to go and see a doctor. I need to go and see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a clinical therapist. Now, let me put in a next plot here. Some persons need to get this thing correct. Let me tell you this. Remember that I said earlier, there is a connection between physical health and mental health. Didn't I say so? So what happens a lot of the times is, a lot of the signs and symptoms that you see, it will more or less mirror a physical ailment. So a lot of us, because it mirrors a physical ailment, we tend to believe that we have a physical problem. So they tell you, in order to diagnose a mental illness, you have to go down the road 3 ways, or 2 main ways. First, you need to go and see a general practitioner. Now, a lot of people don't want to go down all of those roads because, of course, finances, because you will have to pay this. When you go by the general practitioner, they will have to run tests, do all kind of tests on you. And when they are able to weed out that there's no anything physically wrong with you, then that GP will give you a referral to see a psychiatrist or a clinical therapist or whoever else. so that you could get a psychological evaluation done. People, that is the route you have to go. Do not let anybody fool you. Because you feel in a kind of a way, to me that your things happening to you and it is not normal. You say, okay, I need to go and talk to somebody. People, there are a lot of illnesses that we have. If you do your research, you will see that. And the signs mirror each other. But in order to ascertain which is which, you need to do the right thing. So you first go and check your doctor, make him do a complete sound off on you. And if he cannot find anything physically wrong with you, then here we go. You have to do a psych eval. And from that psych eval, then they will end up seeing if you have issues with stress, if you have problems with trauma, whatever it is, depression, whatever it is. But that is the route you are supposed to go. All right, people? So make sure you're hearing me correctly. Now, we are going to look at some of the mental illnesses that affect not only adolescents, but across the board. So what I want you to do, you're going to see like 3 or 4 videos in quick succession. So I want you to take a little time, put a pillow at the back, if you're lying on your bed, prop up yourself nice and take a listen, because you are going to get a ton of information coming from those videos. So the first video will tell you the 10 common types of mental illnesses, and they will also tell you how they could be treated. All right, so take a listen.
Learning and communication. Before we begin, we'd like to add a quick warning discretion. This video discusses mental illness, including eating disorders and PTSD. What is mental illness? According to National Alliance on Mental Illness, it's defined as a condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, or mood for a sustained period of time that negatively impacts them. You might be wondering, is depression a mental illness? What about anxiety? Yes, they are. In fact, they're the most common types of mental illnesses. In this video, Psych2Go covers 10 of the most common types of mental illnesses. 1. Anxiety disorders. We know 18.1% doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the number of adults in the US who suffer from anxiety disorders. 40 million people suffer from symptoms of an anxiety disorder every year. Of those 40 million people, it's estimated that only 36.9% of them will get help. Anxiety disorders rarely appear alone, with depression being a common co-diagnosis. Anxiety disorders come in a few varieties: generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, SAD, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. So, what do all these anxiety disorders have in common? They're all characterized by nearly uncontrollable worry that messes with several aspects of daily life, such as sleep, relationships, school, and work. The good news is there are several treatment options available, which include different types of therapy and medication. 2. Personality disorders. What does it mean when someone's personality is disordered? Personality disorders refer to behavioral, emotional, and thought patterns that deviate greatly from the expectations of an individual's culture. The National Institute of Mental Health suggests that 9.1% of the population has the traits of a personality disorder. So what does this look like in real life? Could anyone who's a little different be diagnosed with a personality disorder? Well, according to the diagnostic criteria in the DSM-V, these differences must be causing the individual significant amounts of distress in the way they see themselves, others, and situations, inappropriate or exaggerated emotional responses, impulse control, and how well the individual relates to and functions around others. Personality disorders can't be cured, but thankfully they can be treated. This treatment consists of combinations of medications for the underlying mental health issues, as well as talk therapy. 3. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If we say ADHD, what comes to mind? The stereotype of a person diagnosed with ADHD is usually a small child who's bouncing off the walls or can't finish a task. However, between 7.8 and 11% of children aged 4 to 17 are diagnosed with ADHD any given year. ADHD affects people of all ages and includes multiple symptoms, such as inability to concentrate, forgetfulness, inability to sit still, restlessness, and losing things. An individual's symptoms vary depending on their age, gender, and type of ADHD. Did you know there's actually 3 recognized types of ADHD? They're ADHD, combined type ADHD, impulsive hyperactive type, and ADHD inattentive and distractible type. Most people think meds are the only way to control ADHD, but many people diagnosed with the disorder find relief by using a combination of medications, life coaching, education, and talk therapy. 4. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Did you know that an estimated 6.8% of the US population will develop some form of post-traumatic stress disorder? That's about 19 million people in the US alone. So how does this happen? You, me, everybody will get stressed out by something in our lives. Some people will come across something so stressful that it affects them permanently. For many of them, this stress becomes trauma. A traumatic event is considered any event that should not have happened, such as a natural disaster, an assault, childhood neglect, abuse, starvation, and so on. Stress is a completely normal reaction to trauma, but what happens when the threat is gone? The stress and trauma stops on its own for most people when the mind and body understand the individual is no longer under attack. But what if the mind and body don't get the memo? Post-traumatic stress disorder refers to a prolonged fight or flight response that happens after the stressful event has stopped. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, refers to the PTSD that occurs due to a series of continued traumatic events, such as childhood abuse. Think of PTSD and CPTSD as the echoes of the stress response. These echoes can happen in the form of emotional flashbacks, nightmares, extreme anxiety or panic, difficulties connecting to others, and an overwhelming sense of fear. So how does someone get help for something so overwhelming? People suffering from PTSD or CPTSD can find relief through trauma therapies, such as eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EMDR, or traditional talk therapies, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. 5. Depression. An estimated 6.7% of the US population over the age of 18, 15.7 million people live with depression. Although the occasional low mood is a normal response to negative situations, depression entails low moods that are severe and last longer than 6 weeks. Depression manifests differently in women than men. Women tend to experience depression as feelings of sadness, worthlessness, and shame or guilt. Men tend to mistake the symptoms of depression as fatigue and being easily irritated. Common treatments for depression include cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, interpersonal therapy, IPT, psychodynamic therapy, psychoeducation groups, antidepressants, and various brain stimulation therapies. 6. Bipolar disorder. An estimated 2.8% of the US population that sought mental health treatment was diagnosed with some form of bipolar disorder in 2018. This number may be low, as many individuals who suffer from any mental health disorder do not seek treatment. Bipolar disorder means a lot more than just really bad mood swings for a couple of reasons. First, people diagnosed with bipolar disorder cannot completely control these mood swings. And second, these mood swings range from manic, feeling super happy or invincible, doing crazy spontaneous things, grandiosity, and having racing or unrealistic thoughts, to extreme bouts of depression and maybe a little hypomania in between. Living with bipolar disorder isn't easy, but people struggling with the disorder can find a variety of medications and traditional counseling treatments to help them find more balance. 7. Eating disorders. Did you know there are almost as many people living with eating disorders as there are with bipolar disorder? It's true. Approximately 2.7% of individuals who sought treatment were diagnosed with an eating disorder in 2018. The most common question people ask about eating disorders is, what's the difference between not being happy with your body and having an eating disorder? Well, in addition to this total focus on their physical flaws, Eating disorders are defined by dysmorphia and the binge, purge, restrict cycle of behavior. This cycle comes from the person's feelings of extreme distress and disgust about their body. This disgust drives the individual who has the disorder to become super focused on their body weight and shape. Leave a comment below if you want to know more about the binge, purge, restrict cycle. The eating disorders everyone knows about are anorexia nervosa and bulimia, but most people have never heard of eating disorders not otherwise specified, EDNOS, or avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, ARFID. Leave a comment below if you want to hear more about the lesser known eating disorders. Everyone needs food, so how is someone who has such a terrible relationship with eating and body image supposed to get better? Recovery from an eating disorder is totally possible, with a combination of talk therapy, residential treatment, and medications to treat the symptoms of any underlying mental health conditions. 8. Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder. If obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, is a type of anxiety disorder, why did it make the number 8 spot? Simple. Professionals say 2.3% of individuals will qualify for a diagnosis of OCD during the course of their lifetime. What's the first thing you think of when you think of someone who suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder? Did you imagine someone who can't stand the thought of germs? Maybe a person who turns the doorknob 27 times before they can leave the house. The common stereotype of an individual diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, is of someone obsessed with cleaning or counting to a comical degree, but that's not the whole picture. The reality of OCD includes a great deal of anxiety, rigid thinking, and feeling isolated from others. Individuals diagnosed with OCD suffer from reoccurring thoughts that they cannot control, which are referred to as obsessions. These obsessions can be things like cleaning or counting, but also include checking and double checking, feeling as though one will be punished for being a sinner, organizing and arranging, and hoarding. Having obsessions is different from being detail-oriented, or a little type A, because individuals who suffer from obsessions experience crippling anxiety due to these thoughts they're unable to control. The compulsions are the actions, such as cleaning, hand washing, arranging, and hoarding, that individuals use to cope with overwhelming anxiety and rigid thinking. So what is someone who lives with the reality of OCD to do? Although there's no cure for OCD, a combination of medical and talk therapy will help them manage their symptoms effectively. 9. Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD. We've been hearing more and more about autism spectrum disorder, ASD, in recent years. That's because approximately 1.2% of children, 1 in 59 children, will qualify for diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder in the coming year. ASD begins in childhood, but many individuals are not diagnosed until adolescence or adulthood. ASD is characterized by significantly impaired social interactions, learning, and communication. Individuals with ASD may seem eccentric or unemotional to others, as they do not understand normal social cues. Some of these odd behaviors include seeming off in their own world, repetitive thoughts or behaviors, restricted interests, poor eye contact, and difficulty communicating with others to the point their functioning is greatly impaired. The most common treatments for ASD include special education classes, applied behavioral analysis, ABA therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, behavioral management therapy, and medication management. And 10, schizophrenia and psychotic disorders. Did you know 3 out of 100 people will experience the symptoms of psychosis in their lifetime? Yep, this means 1% of the population suffers from a psychotic disorder. People usually have their first psychotic break between the ages of 16 and 30, which means approximately 100,000 adolescents and adults will experience their first psychotic break every year. This does not mean everyone who experiences psychosis will always have a psychotic disorder. Medical and environmental or situational factors such as extreme stress, certain prescriptions, and illicit drugs can induce temporary psychosis. For individuals with a psychotic disorder, however, the symptoms last longer than 6 months. So, what is psychosis anyway? Someone suffering from psychosis has breaks or disruptions in their reality, which manifest in behaviors such as religious delusions, audio, visual, or tactile hallucinations, feelings of paranoia or persecution, and disordered or jumbled thoughts and speech. Schizophrenia is the most common psychotic disorder, but the DSM-V recognizes a few others. Would you like to know more about the other psychotic disorders? Then tell us in the comments below. Having a psychotic disorder can feel like torture, but it doesn't have to. Many people who are diagnosed with some type of psychosis are successfully treated with a combination of specialized medications, therapy, and case management. Have you or a loved one ever dealt with any of the mental illnesses in this article? Were there any symptoms on this list that surprised you? Which mental illnesses do you want to hear more about? Tell us in the comments below. As always, any information provided here is for educational purposes only. If you need mental health counseling or treatment, please contact your insurance company, local college students counseling clinic, or your county crisis line. Help is out there. For more information on mental illness and mental health, stay tuned to Psych2Go.
Lovely. So you got information on 10 common types of mental illness that could affect not only children, but adults. So let me run through them again in case you didn't catch them. So we had anxiety disorders, depression, personality disorders, ADHD, PTSD and CPTSD, bipolar disorder, eating disorders, OCD, autism spectrum disorder, and schizophrenia. Now, people, all these mental conditions or mental illnesses, they could be found in the DSM-5. And the DSM-5 will actually identify the symptoms or the criteria in which a person could be diagnosed with that mental illness. Also, from the video, the narrator would have mentioned a lot of things. And one of the things I hope jumped out at you was a lot of these mental illnesses, they have no cure. However, they could be managed. So you would have been hearing the narrator calling a slew of different types of therapy, and also mention that not only it's possible to manage these mental illnesses through therapy, but what also happens is there's a combination between medication and therapy. All right. Now, when it comes to me, and people who follow me know, I go down the road of alternatives because I would have seen alternative worked as a charm. And my loved one, his doctor, also is into the alternatives. So the medication he wasn't on medication at all. He has for the 9 years, and he's bipolar. He has never used medication, ever. All right. However, don't take my word for it. You have to consult with your doctor if you're going down the road of medication, if you're going down the road of psychotherapy, or if it's a combination, or if you're going down the road with alternatives. Now, the alternatives is what I call the alternatives as dealing with exercise, your diet, sleep, and support. That is the alternatives. And I tell people it will not work if the support is not there. So we'll talk about that a little later when we coming down to what we could do to help each other, to help our children, etc., etc. So you got information. At least you got a basic overview. The rest is up to you. There's only so much you could get in this session right now. But what I always tell people, please, the information is out there. Google is our best friend. Go and get the information out there. Go and Google the information out there. Read. There are so many articles from reputable sources. And you could have a better insight of what these mental illnesses are, the type of medication, the type of therapy, etc., etc. So they would have mentioned these 10. Now, another one that is very prevalent in our society, especially among our young people, and you know it as self-harm. However, they would have changed the name to non-suicidal self-injury. You're going to see it just now, NSSI. So all those who are acquainted with people, the kids and them, or persons cutting their wrist or cutting their body parts, they would know what I am talking about. So we're just going to get a little overview of what NSSI is, but it's something you really have to do a deep dive to understand. It is not easy to be on the sideline to understand this mental illness at all. You cannot understand it. I guarantee you that. All right? So take a listen.
It's hard to describe why I would hurt myself. I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling.
Cutting my arm was the only way I could release the tension. Once I would do it, I stopped worrying about how I was feeling. It worked, and I really didn't want to stop doing it.
My daughter hurt herself for several years. I was so scared. It also made me angry, so I had to really work to understand what was happening.
As a high school teacher, I would see students who covered cuts on their arms. And I knew one young man who would just hit his head on the wall. He always had bruises. I couldn't tell if he was angry, sad, or just trying to get attention.
These are the voices of people who intentionally injure themselves and the voices of people in their lives. When people injure themselves intentionally but don't want to end their lives, it's called non-suicidal self-injury, or NSSI. It's usually a sign of intense psychological or emotional distress and can be a highly dangerous behavior. NSSI is frequently used by adolescents or young adults, though people of any age might do it. Common forms of NSSI include intentionally cutting, scraping, scratching, hitting, or burning yourself. These actions can range from being a light scratch to being severe, including things like deep cuts that require emergency medical attention. Even though NSSI is not connected with a wish to die, the behaviors themselves can be deadly. People talk about engaging in non-suicidal self-injury for many reasons, including a need to release emotional pain, to feel something rather than nothing, or to express how they're feeling. While there are many different reasons for engaging in NSSI, most people talk about how effective it is. People might repeat NSSI, and sometimes the behaviors last for months or years. Others might only use NSSI a single time or for a single episode. Often called self-injury or self-harm, NSSI can result in a life-threatening crisis, and it's not always possible to understand or ask about a person's suicidal intentions. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24/7 to discuss NSSI and can help people find immediate attention. If there is any type of medical or psychological crisis, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room right away. Non-suicidal self-injury is a complicated mental health problem. It can also be treated by experienced mental health professionals. NSSI is not a sign that a person is hopeless, crazy, or unable to live a fulfilling life. NSSI does not define a person. It's simply a behavior used by a person to feel better, and behaviors are changed all the time. People can learn other ways to feel better, and non-suicidal self-injury is a behavior that can change. People can then move on and live safe and happy lives.
Good. So this is non-suicidal self. That's a basic overview of non-suicidal. As the narrator said, it's a very complicated mental health condition. It is one that is extremely prevalent in our young people. And let me tell you this, before it was associated with a specific ethnic group, a specific age range, but now as time is progressing and the issues and the stresses are much more challenging for our young people, we are seeing, and there is evidence in Trinidad and Tobago, that persons much younger. So I would have come across an individual as early as 7 who was self-harming. So it is something that we really need to pay attention to, and we need to get this line that we say the person is looking for attention. Yes, that is one of the reasons, a very far-fetched reason, but they tell you anytime someone is self-harming, it is because of some serious emotional distress that they are going through. And not only that, what you really need to understand with NSSI is a lot of the time it's because of the neurotransmitters. Remember, I mentioned them. So there is an explanation or a justification that is given using one of the neurotransmitters, endorphins, to give you an indicator or an explanation as to why people self-harm. So the research is enormous. It is endless when it comes to that topic. And that is something I'm working on a research right now as it relates to self-injury from a teacher's perspective. Because over the years, being acquainted with the school system in Trinidad and Tobago and interacting with teachers, that is one of the things that they will always tell you. I am not versed in treating with anybody who would maybe come to me for assistance with this issue. So they don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. A lot of them get scared. Some of them don't understand. Some of them there's this stigma around it. So a lot of people tend not to really understand how this thing really rears its head, among our young people. And the reason I choose to do with the teachers is because, remember, our children interact with them a lot. So they are the ones which are part and parcel of interacting and at least having knowledge of what to do if a child happened to come with such an issue to them for help. All right. So you got another one to add to your research line for you to go and read up on if you did not know. So that's self-harm, or NSSI. And we have another one which everybody knows, which is suicide ideation. Very prevalent, very, very, very prevalent among our young. Well, anybody. You remember that we are clocking forth in this neck of the woods for cases of suicide. All right, so that's to show you this is something that we really also need to pay attention to.
Couldn't see any other way out.
Everyone would be better off without me.
I couldn't see any other way out.
I wish I could go to sleep and never wake up.
I wanted all of this to go away.
These are the voices of suicidal ideation, which is the thinking that haunts people and brings them to the brink of taking their own lives. Most of us have been touched by suicide in some way. Some of us have personally lost a loved one to suicide, or we know someone who has. Some of us have had suicidal thoughts ourselves or even attempted suicide. Far too many people take their own lives every year in America, with especially concerning rates in veterans and adolescents. We know there are certain situations that add to the risk of people attempting suicide. If they have made an attempt in the past, if a member of their family has attempted or died from suicide, if they own or have easy access to weapons, a lot of unused medication or drugs, or anything else that could be used to attempt suicide. If any of these are true, their risk can increase further if they struggle with mental health problems, depressed mood and hopelessness are serious risk factors. Other problems like a recent breakup, job loss, or legal trouble can be important to consider. Or if they use drugs or drink alcohol. Both are highly related to death by suicide. And if someone uses much more during difficult times, it's important to notice this. We are completely certain of two things. Suicidal ideation is an emergency, and we can all play an important part of saving someone who might be living it. Here are a few critical things to understand. Most of the time, people don't want to die. Even when things feel very bad, most people truly want to live. People say they just don't want to feel the pain anymore. That's why it's so important for you to know what to look for. So how can you tell if someone in your life needs help, and what should you do? First, really listen. This is often the most important thing to do when someone we know is struggling. If a person is thinking of suicide, he or she says so. Sometimes the person literally comes out and says something like, "I wish I were dead." Other people may mention suicidal thoughts more passively, saying something like, "If I were gone, no one would notice," or "I have nothing to live for," or "I just wish all of this would stop." Then, watch. Heavy or increased drug or alcohol use can be a warning sign if someone has been thinking of suicide. Also, pay attention if someone is socially isolated, or if someone tells you he or she is feeling overwhelmed by stressful situations that don't seem to have solutions. We need to notice when our friends and family are having more trouble than they usually do. Finally, ask. If anything does not feel or sound right to you, or if you're worried at all, ask about it. Make it straightforward and don't be afraid. Use these words. Are you thinking of killing yourself? You will not give someone the idea if that person wasn't already considering it. In fact, most of the time, people feel relieved that they can talk about what they're struggling with, and you very well might save their lives. If you think someone is in danger of suicide, stay with them and get help. If your friend or loved one admits to thinking about suicide, make sure the situation is safe and stay with the person. Validate his or her feelings and listen without judgment, even if it's scary. Encourage the person to get professional help right away, and help if necessary, even if this means calling 911 or going to the hospital. Every one of us has a role to play in preventing suicide. If you are feeling like suicide might be an option for you, please be brave and ask for help. If you're worried about someone you care about, be the one who asks the all-important question. You could very well save that person's life.
Lovely. So let me take a minute here. So we're making good time, so we'll be out of here by 8. So let me take a little time there. See what's going on with all. I don't know if all you could speak now, because I don't know if they mute everybody. Mr. Edwards, you mute everybody. Oh my goodness. So how is it so far? What have you understood? What are some of the things that jumped out at you? So I'm not sure if you could write in the chat, because I am not sure if, yeah, you could write in the chat. Okay, good, nice. So drop in the chat, how is the session so far for you? Are you getting the information? Are you able to get some more clarity? Yes,
Mrs. Williams, if I may, Mrs. James, if I may, I have unmuted everybody's mic, so if persons want to speak during this period of time, you all can press the unmute button and give us some feedback, please.
Lovely. Yes, so we just have 3 minutes to do a little, I just checking up. I always have to check up and see how people are going, how people are doing, if they are understanding anything, if I go into fast, if I, you know, yeah. So you guys give me a little feedback. If we good, we gone, you know, we ain't sticking, because we have to make dinner tonight, you understand? So we can't stick. But so I guess we good. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. If you have any questions, you could always drop it in the chat, because the chat is free. If there's anything you want me to review, if you want to see any other slide, whatever, you just, you know. Before I go, there are a list of sites that I subscribe to, because the information is invaluable. So Psych2Go, and they also have these YouTube channels. They also has Facebook pages. All right, so Psych2Go is one that I subscribe to a lot. Also, Psych Hub is another one. There's a lady by the name of Katie Morton, M-O-R-T-O-N, yes, she has a YouTube channel. These people do a lot of work. And I mean, the information I'm bringing to you, it's not information of 5 years ago. I mean, as recent as 2020, because I always like to stay up to date with the thing. I don't want to be a stale thing, because remember, Life is evolving. We have issues. We have COVID-19. COVID-19 giving us a whooping. If you're not minding your business, let me tell you something. Forbes.com. And we need to encourage reading, especially in our children. All right, please, and yourself too. Forbes.com posted a research November 2020, December, around that time, where they stated that post-COVID, we are going to be hit with a second wave. Now, when they're talking second wave, they're not talking about COVID-19 or the Delta, You know what they're talking about? We are going to have a slew of mental health challenges, especially among our young people. So these people would have done their research and seen how this thing drifting when it relates to mental health and the challenges of COVID-19 and persons unable to navigate and cope and manage these challenges and what it is doing to them, their mental health now, and what it will do. And that is where you and me come in, because we need to start the conversation. When our children reach out to us to talk about how they are feeling, we're not supposed to say they're looking for attention or brush them off or be dismissive or be disrespectful. We need to listen. And if you are unable to help them, you need to find somebody who can. It's not you guys might not be so knowledgeable of the thing, because it's years I in this thing. I in my job for 11 going on 12 years. I supporting the brother 9 years now. So I in this mental health thing. And let me don't even talk about my personal life. Let us even go down that road. So I in this thing a long time. So when it comes to information and reading, and man, if you see my laptop, it loaded with stuff. I actually run a mental health series on a Saturday morning. Let's talk mental health. And what we do, we dissect each and every mental health disorder. So we go down into this. So if we're doing depression, we will look at depression, types of depression, the signs and symptoms, how it is diagnosed, what to do, either going through the alternatives, either through medication. Man, we go into this thing. Because I tell people, when you hear mental illness or mental, it's not one thing. It's a huge topic. And you need to understand each and every one of these disorders. And I ain't telling you to be no doctor or no psychologist, just basic reading. Some of us we don't like to read, but YouTube is there. There are so many contributors on YouTube. You could actually just punch in whatever, anxiety disorders, and man, all kind of thing would come up. And just sit down and have your little notepad and taking your little notes and it. Easy. But the onus is on you and me. You, the adult, and I know you're going through your struggles. We all going through struggles in life, but we are able, some of us are able to cope. Our young people cannot cope. Very poor coping mechanism, very poor coping skills. They just cannot, the challenges in their life. Sorry to say, but we raising a generation that's very weak, very weak. I am telling you from what I am seeing, because we want to do everything for them. We want to stand in the gap. I know it's your children and so on, but oh God, you had to help them, man. You had to help them. You have to help them. You have to listen to them. You have to validate them. You need to understand them. And we need to stop that nonsense where you say, well, in my time, I went through all kinds of stresses and I'm still standing. Yes, that's you. But our children, the generation now, there's a different zone there. And when you're looking at that unique individual, you have to look at his temperament, his personality, his scope, everything. It might be different from you. You might be had like an ox like me. I don't make nothing bothers me, nothing. I don't make nothing. I don't entertain crap. I don't entertain negativity. I hate toxic. You see toxic people on health. Anytime you come in with negativity, I'll write you off. That is me. I don't entertain it because I don't want my energy to be stifled. You understand? So not everybody is like that. I just call people that say, Royette, you don't have a heart. Yes, I have a heart. I have a heart. I just don't allow things that I cannot control to take hold of me. And that is what we have to do for our children. For people, when the conversation arises, and we're taking it from there because we're on the home stretch all year. When the conversation arises, if you cannot talk about it, you don't want to talk about it, do not feel pressured to talk about things you don't want to talk about. If you're having issues talking about it, don't talk about it. If you do not have the knowledge based on the capacity to talk about it, don't entertain the conversation. But tell your child, okay, I don't think I am ready to have this conversation, but I could always get whoever. I could get Miss, I could get the counselor, I could get the social. You understand? To talk to you. So when we need to start the conversation with our children, when we are good and ready, we need to choose the right time. You can't just have the conversation any odd time. So if you observe something with your child, you observe the behavioral patterns changing, you tell them, well, I observe A, B, C, D. I think we need to have a conversation. But some of us, we're not tactful. Some of you may be like me. We're not tactful. So I say, hey, I see you doing some kind of thing. Why is that? You understand that kind of thing? From the time we come that way, we don't lock up, the child don't lock us off long time. So we need to choose a good time. Not only a good time, but make sure when you're having the conversation, the space is suitable, the space is comfortable, the space is safe, so that you all are able to share, or whoever is having that conversation, you all are able to share. A lot of the times we might not be able to have the conversation in person. But when we have platforms like Zoom and Google Meet and Teams and FaceTime and WhatsApp video, and we have all these platforms, or we have all these apps we could talk on. So it doesn't have to be in person. It does not have to be in person. When you are asking questions, you've got to know how to ask the question to generate an appropriate response. Do not ask questions where the child will just say yes or no. It has to be open-ended, people. So make sure when you ask the question, you are being gentle, you are being kind, you are being caring with the question. Listen, people. We have a big problem. We don't listen. A lot of us so occupied with all other issues. Our children dying, but we ain't seeing they die. They're crippling, we ain't seeing that. We need to listen. Very important. They tell you communication is the name of the game. Communication is the main thing in any relationship, whether it's parent and child, whether it is your man, whether it's your woman, whether it's your boss. You've got to listen. You have to be an effective listener, and not only to the verbals. You need to listen to the non-verbals, because a lot of the time it's the non-verbals that speak to us. It's the non-verbals that disclose a lot of things to us. So it's very important that we communicate. We need to be patient. A lot of us, we have no patience. Any child that exhibits sign of a mental illness, let me tell you something. You have to have patience of Job, because what coming from their mouth, you'll want to kill them. What their behaviors is like, oh, because of what you are seeing, what they are saying, what they are thinking. You've got to be patient with the children. And do not judge. We live in a society that's extremely judgmental, and we love to blame. We love to complain. We victim blaming. Oh my goodness. We need to be mindful of that. So when that child is speaking to you, when are you conversing, do not judge that individual for what they are saying. You need to show support as well as offer support. Always be there for the children and them. Let me tell you something. The children and them need us, you know. Ain't no joke, you know. They need us. They are going through a lot. Yes, we are going through, but as adults, some of us it's easier to cope. We have the mechanism, whether it's maladaptive, whether it's unhealthy or healthy. But some children don't have anything. Some of us, we have a brethren, we could go and sit down under a tree and talk to him. Some children have nobody to talk to. None. And let me tell you something. I interacting with children for 25 plus years, so I could tell you in two sides of the globe. From my home country and in Trinidad and Tobago. And when they come to talk to you, it's like gold. That's why they pay us counselors. You understand? Because I tell myself, we are a rubbish dump. They come to dump on us. So the most we do is sit our tail down and listen. There's nobody else to, and we give them the support. We check in with them. We find out how they're doing. Some children don't have that. Let's not talk about respect. Because we think we are the adults, we disrespect the children, we malign them, we berate them. We need to be mindful of that. Treat the children the same way you want to be treated. I always, when I do my parenting courses, I just always tell the parent, put yourself in a child's shoes. You want that behavior for yourself? And depending on what you answer, then you would know how to treat a child. Not because a child is a child, you don't have to respect the child. You have to respect the child. You have to listen. The communication lines have to remain open. A lot of us, we don't communicate with the children. We don't listen. We don't support. We don't treat them with respect. That's why they're running. You never ask yourself why they're running. That's why they don't want to be in the home, because our homes are extremely toxic. Yes, I have no cover, and I don't care what you think. Our homes are too toxic. Our homes are too unhealthy, and it is contributing to a breakdown in the mental health of our children. If you're doing those kind of things, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. If you stress out with your man or with your woman, that's your business. That is your business. Don't pass it on your child. That's your child. Those children, let me tell you. Man, I could give all these stories about things happening. The things I would have encountered in my 12 years in this system would make you not sleep tonight. You know? Things you maybe have never went through in your life. That is what children going through. All forms and fashion of abuse, exposed to all kinds of trauma. Well, let us even talk about domestic violence, a huge one. Divorce and separation. Oh my goodness. So people, treat your children with respect. Not because you are the mother, or you are the father, or you are the guardian, you have to disrespect them. No. When they see you giving them that respect, the relationship is going to be so good. You would be surprised. And of course, as Sir said earlier when he started, if you can't handle your scene, you expect to be able to handle any child's scene? No, you can't. So in order for us to be able to help the children and them, we've got to model the good things, what we put into our bodies, how we sleep, exercise routines, how we manage and cope with emotions, etc., etc. We need to do it so the children could pattern from it. What comes from our mouth, the unhealthiness. If you're modeling those kind of behaviors, what do you expect? All you do expect children to be modeling because they're patterning from us. Children are like sponges. Everything we do, oh my goodness, you bet your bottom dollar is soaking it up. So let's get to it now, Nama. How can we deal with this problem? How can we do something about our mental health? How could we strengthen our mental health? They tell you there are 6 keys to mental health. Easy. Our social connection. And all you hear me talk about those relationships, all you have that's unhealthy and toxic and negative. What are you doing with them? All you want to have those kind of negative people in all your life that contributing to all your stress. What are you doing with them? Social connection is important. Staying active. So you exercise, at least take a little walk, 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes a day will make a host of difference in your life. Getting rid of them toxic people in your life, or even better, managing your stresses. As long as you know what stress you out, and all of us know what the stress is. All of us. Sometimes the stress lying down right next to you. So it's whether you want it to stress you out or whether you don't want it to stress you. You understand? Manage all your stress. Be able to identify it, know the triggers, manage it. Diet, what we eat, what we put into our bodies. Some of us don't drink water. Some of us are eating our peas and beans. Some of us are eating our veggies and our fruits and things. And don't come and tell me about, well, it's expensive. Which one you prefer? To spend money and make sure you eat properly, or go by the doctor and spend millions of dollars? Which one you prefer? Which one you prefer? To be running down to a doctor every time you get a prescription when you're overwhelmed on top of that? Which one do you prefer? Ask yourself that. Sleep is important. Sleep. What day I sit down there when I do my work and thing, I say, I write it down. I have to do some work on sleep, because some people not understanding how detrimental lack of sleep could be, especially to some of our organs. You could go and research the benefits of sleep. Go and research that. Just write it down. And when I finish with you over the weekend, you have plenty of things to go and research and go and read up on to help yourself and your children and your family. And of course, some of us on the planet and we don't have no purpose. Why are you on the planet? Meaning, what is your purpose? What are you contributing? You've got to have a purpose, my people. Please. There must be a reason for you to, you cannot just be existing. The Futsal Association brought this, the community of disastrous and environs. You guys have this. So you guys need to think about those things. How can I contribute? Yes, they have done that for the entire week. They talk to my children. They talk to my grandchildren. They talk to my nenen. They talk to everybody. They talk to me. What can I do? How can I assist? How far can I go? I might not be able to reach out there, but in my homes, what can I do in my house? What can I do? Of course, what you could do is support the goddamn children. That's what you could do. Support the children and also support yourself. Come on, people. Yeah, let's get emotional. What can I do? How can I support? What are some of the things that I could do? Encourage your children to speak. There are certain homes children can't talk. What kind of thing is that? Can somebody tell me what is the reasoning behind that? So if you don't want them to speak, obviously they will get somebody to talk to. And social media have plenty perverts for them to talk to. Let me tell you something. There is always somebody out there lurking to get their hooks into your children, and they target these kids who have no support, who have some serious family life issues, household issues. So you think they end out there watching and looking and waiting? Yes, they're there. Trust me, they're there. Encourage your children to speak. Support them to find the help. I said that already. If you cannot help them, there's so many organizations all over the place willing to help. Childline, Families in Action, Rape Crisis, Children Authority, just name it, they got it. There is always somebody out there. It could be the neighbor, it could be the coach. There's always somebody out there that could help your children. Allow them to find the help. You might not be able to help them because you're going through your own hell, but there's somebody there. Check in with your children. Check in with people. We in COVID-19, let me tell you something, man. All you think COVID finished, COVID ain't finished yet. COVID taking lives every single day. You ain't know somebody close to you die, you don't even know, By the time you maybe check on them 2 months later, they tell you, but you know, he died with COVID. You're in shock. You need to check in when you went to hear somebody, not only with your children, but check in with each other. Now we cannot socialize how we want. So you know the little football on a lockdown kind of way. So we can't even go out there and run up and down in the park. And on a Saturday, we as parents, we talking all kind of nonsense, and the children and them, they're playing. We don't have that anymore. So you're not seeing, you ain't seeing auntie, you ain't seeing this, you ain't seeing that. Check in. You need to check in. Help the children and come up with a plan of wellness that will contribute to their mental well-being, to eat, what to eat, how much hours to sleep, staying off of social media, taking a social media detox. All those things could come in their plan. Journaling is very important. Listening to some lovely classical or edifying music, not them rangatang and making all your head hurt you. Help them come up with a plan. Support and encourage them to look after their physical health. Remember, there is a connection between physical health and mental health. If you're lapsing on one, obviously something gonna happen to the other. Encourage them to stay active. And don't come and tell me, well, we cannot go and exercise. And you have a house, and you have space in your house, and you have a chair. There are so many exercises you could do just with a chair. Go on YouTube, you will find them chair exercises. I was in shock. Close to 25 exercises. Just sitting on a chair and moving your arms, your legs, and your body parts. Or you have a little skipping rope. Or you have steps, walk up and down. So my apartment have 20 steps. So by just going up and down 10 times, I good to go. I blow in by the time I reach the top of the step. Let the kids and them stay. You too stay active. Remind your children that you are there for them. You will stand in the gap for them. I am here to listen to you whenever you need to talk a day. Remind them that. Be patient, have understanding, guide them to whatever helplines and whatever websites. I gave you some. Have the children to read up, have them to get their information. They're not feeling too good. Their life in a mess. They're feeling overwhelmed. We have serious anxiety issues with our children. They can't come up on the screen and do work. Find help for them. Let them read up on maybe the signs and the symptoms of anxiety, black screen anxiety, FOMO. Let them read up on those kinds of topics and help establish coping skills. We can't do everything for them, but we could show them how to cope. And there are many things, many things that we could do. Many things. Some practical ways. We're making good time earlier. We're taking it home now. We're taking it home now. What are some of the things that we could do to help ourselves and our children? Write 3 things that they would have achieved every day before they go to bed. Tell them, come, let's have a little conversation. Write 3 things that you would have achieved today. And it doesn't have to be any high flux thing, you know. Maybe just washing the wares on time, cleaning their room, packing away their clothes, packing away their bookcase. You understand? At least doing maybe a little 5 sit-ups, a little push-up, any little thing. But to them, it would be an achievement. We look for achievements for big things. We win $1 million. You understand? We like them kind of, no. We need to celebrate the small things. Help them find solutions, whatever issues that they have. Help them find solutions for it. In the event that they cannot find the solutions for it, get somebody to help them. Work on deep breathing. I am into mindfulness too. Go and look it up. Write it down. Mindfulness. Go on YouTube. They tell you 2 to 3 minutes of deep breathing in the morning will make a whole difference in your life. Let me tell you something. You know we are the ones who contribute to the hell we are in. You all know that. I tell people, if you do the research and you understand the research, you will see there are basic things to do in this life to have you living a fulfilled life. It doesn't matter if you don't have $1 in the bank. And guys, I guarantee I'm giving you them. Easy things, easy things. So some of us, we are connected to our Supreme One. We have to get a supreme one for our children. Don't have the children just existing and they don't pray. So pray when you get up in the morning and you thank whoever you want to thank, whoever you worship, that's your business. I am mine. I have my supreme one. You have yours. Yes? So when you get up in the morning and you thank whoever for life and strength and giving you breath, because some people didn't see, they didn't make the morning. They died in the night. They died the day before. So when you pray, you pull out your, if it's your Bible or your Bhagavad Gita or your Quran, whatever you read, you understand? To give you, some inspiration. And then you just calm yourself, put yourself in a space, 2 to 3 minutes, that's all. And your day is going to work. Let me tell you something. Nobody going to come around you and make your day dead. Nobody going to dampen your day, because you would be fortified by just maybe that first 10, 15 minutes when you open your eyes in the morning. You understand what I'm saying? So health, the deep breathing is very good. Some people like to worry. So designate a specific time in the day and call it your worry session. So if from 11 to 11:30, that's when you worry, well, sit down your tail and worry away for 30 minutes and say, to hell with that man. Let me keep moving. You understand what I'm saying? Set aside a time for worry. The same thing for negative thoughts. They tell you could set a time for just to think negative. Make it that time. And let me teach you something if you do not know. Anytime you allow yourself to do something consistently for 30 days, it becomes your routine. Your brain accepts it as a routine and it comes automatic to you. But you have to be consistent. So you hear the brother said, I am on Facebook. There are certain things I do on my page every morning. So anytime the clock strikes 12 and Royette up, and Royette is always up around that time. Because I like book hunting, I always reading, doing some assignment and you understand? So every time that clock strikes 12, I say, all right, posting time. I get my Bible verse, I get my quote of the day, and I get something, a nutrition tip of the day. If you check my page, you will see it, like clockwork. Sometimes if I maybe pull out all night, I was too busy in my books and I pull all night and I go to bed 5, 6 o'clock. By the time I catch myself and I get up 11, 12, I will post it. You understand? But I do it consistently, religiously. So it comes normal to me. It's a normal thing for me. You understand what I mean? So when we have those kinds of things, we set aside specific times of the day for specific things, you're good to go. Develop a thought diary. So whenever you are thinking maybe negative, whatever thought, write it down. And you know what I just tell my students? When you write it down, a couple hours after, go and read it. And if it is negative, tear it out from your diary and dump it. I always tell my students to do that, because you don't want them negative thoughts part of it. So don't let it stay in that diary. Get rid of it. Use imagery. Put yourself in a scope, in that frame, and think of things that are positive, things of things that are edifying to you. You understand me? Things that make you happy, bright. You understand? See how those things work. Well, we talk about exercise. Use an activity calendar. So you have your calendar so you know exactly what you're doing as the day progresses, what you're doing as the months and the week go through. You have your activity calendar or a list of things. So every morning I have my to-do list. So I make sure by my computer, I have things to do. You understand? So in my diary, I had this session on. But this morning I had graduation, my school had graduation. Then I have people certificates because some people did courses and things with me. So I have certificates to do. Then I have a session on Saturday. I have to prepare. You understand that kind of thing? So I have my to-do list. And as I go in, I exit out. You understanding me? So it's always good to have your activity calendar or your diary. Diet is important. Man, all you would not know how important diet is for mental health. Man, all you don't have a clue. Let me give all you just one food. One food. It is very expensive, but it works wonders for mental health. Pink salmon. Go and research mental health and pink salmon. Just go and do some research on that, and you will see what pink salmon contains and how it contributes to a sound mental health. Go and research that. Muscle relaxation. Develop a gratitude jar. Well, you're supposed to know about gratitude jar. They're all over the place. What am I grateful for? Drop it in the jar. Use your mood chart. So you chart your moods. So today you're feeling depressed. Today you write in a block, you write depressed. Tomorrow you're feeling whatever. Worrisome, you write worrisome. But the problem a lot of us have, we cannot identify our moods or our feelings. So we need to get what is called the emotional vocabulary. Go and Google it there. And we have to help our children with that too, because 2 words our children know. I normal, I good and I normal. I just ask them, what the hell is good and normal? I don't think those words exist in the emotion vocabulary, people. So we have to get the terms and be able to use them. So go and help your children and yourself, because I'm sure 3/4 of us here don't know the types of emotions and feelings that are normally evoked based on whatever stresses we have in our life. Engage your children, people. Have a conversation. Do things with them. Watch a little TV with them. Nothing wrong with jumping and playing a little game with them. Have your child give you a little pedicure or manicure. A child give you you understand? Engage, talk, conversate about anything. Make sure the lines of communication. All you two like to hide. What are you hiding? I do not know. When all you hide conversations from the kiddies and them, and talk some topics all you don't like to talk about because it's taboo and nonsense. Well, somebody there waiting to talk to them about it. Take out things, take out pictures of things that you are grateful for. Make a collage. Challenge your negative thoughts. There is something called a growth mindset. Go and research that. Go in Google, just type in a growth mindset. Difference between a fixed mindset, which is negative, and a growth mindset. And you will see what will happen. Go and read that. Go and read that. Go and have you and your children sit down and read that up. What it is to have a growth mindset. How can I develop a growth mindset? What is the importance? What is the benefits for me and my mental health? Go and read it. Engage in fun. Have fun. Laugh with your children and them. Humor. Play with your children. Hide and seek with your children. Be dancing and twerking all over the place with your children. Do fun things with them. Oh my goodness. Why are we so sour? Jesus. And encourage them to sleep healthy. Now we have a big problem with that, and we know that. And a lot of the time I just tell parents it's not their fault, you know. Oh gosh, it's not their fault. A lot of our body produces a hormone called melatonin. It is the sleep hormone. It is normally produced very late. Our brain produces it very late, about 10, 11, 12 o'clock. It's a natural thing. So some people, what they do is they exercise and so on, then it allows your body to produce it a bit earlier. But our children, and because of the screen time, and they are always on the screen, what they are doing with that screen time is they are tricking the brain to believe that it is daytime. You understand me? So you could do some research on screen time and adolescent, and you will get more information. So you see the amount of topics that we pull out from just a little simple presentation under 2 hours. What mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. What do you hear me? What mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. It's time we start to change the conversation surrounding this topic. We need to do that, man, because a lot of things, especially our children and their well-being, depends on it. It's imperative that we do. So people, I trust that I wasn't too aggressive and harsh. People do say that I'm very aggressive. Yeah, I know that. Why? The presentation wouldn't be the same if I wasn't aggressive. Trust me when I tell you. So people, Mr. Futsal and the rest of his crew, that's stress. Big up all yourself, all those who came out to listen to us. I hope that you were able to get enough information. I send you on a research session. So I hope you are able to take those things into consideration. It is invaluable information that you would have got. And then I call you, I am on a mental health, how we call it? I am on a mental health mission. So I don't really care what people say or whatever. As long as you entertain in mental health and you want to be a contributor and you want to advocate for this thing, I deal with you. You understand? So, Mr. Edwards, where are you? Mr. Edwards, you went to sleep.
I am here, darling. I hear. To all who don't know, let me say it straight case. As I told you all, she is straight and to the point. We have a kindred spirit, and I respect her to the fullest. Before I continue, let me introduce you to Mr. Justin Lewis, who is a brother in arms as regards to our fight to transform young people, and then I will come back to myself because I want to get some feedback from parents. So let me introduce you to Mr. Justin Lewis. Uncle Justin, talk to the people.
Hi, Mr. Justin.
You have to unmute, Uncle Justin.
Oh, wow, you hear me there?
Right.
Right, nice. I just want to say thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting, entertaining, and I must say very informative. Right now the whole station actually locked in, and it took a lot out of them. Yeah, that was great. To the parents, you want to thank you for taking this time and this opportunity to invest in your mental health and your personal well-being. And let's understand that it doesn't end here. We also have another session to the parents tomorrow at 7. Yes, at 7. So feel free to tune in, share the message, share it with a friend, and also try to follow up on the sites, the information that was presented to you. Try to contact us. I mean, we have a lot of positive engagements in the future following other than today. You could follow the Futsal 868, you could follow Dash Trace Youth Empowerment at Dash Trace Youth on Instagram. Feel free to contact me also at 306-2457 for any further positive engagements with your children, any assistance in any way possible. We try to reach out and we try to help. So thanks again, continue to spread the message, spread the love, and let's try to assist each other and help each other moving forward in these trying times right now. So to everyone, have a blessed night, and back to you, Mr. Edward.
Thank you very much, Brother Justin. I want to take the time to recognize as well, if she is here. I don't think she's here, but Janelle Janelle Small, for her part in bringing Justin and I together, and even she was a part. You hear, Janelle?
It was finished just now.
Oh, sorry, that's somebody else. So I want to say thank you very much to our parents, but before we go, I want to ask, please, I want to ask three parents to come on and tell us, give Futsal, give Dash Trace, and give Mrs. Williams. Please share with us, besides typing, come on screen and share with us your thoughts to this session. I'm begging for that. Can 3 adults tell us your thoughts to this session? Any takers? So yes, we know that we get very good vibe feedback. People are saying powerful and timely presentation. I always enjoy being a part of her program. Someone said thanks for the very informative information. This was very helpful. Dee says very informative. I enjoyed it. It was very helpful for me and my family. Would the tape session be shared? Yes, it will be shared. But what we are saying, guys, is that with it being shared, we want to hear, please, we want it to be taped that persons can actually say, yes, it was good. Can somebody come on and share with us, please? We asking?
Miss Akila Lala, Miss Akila Lala, Nariba Jackman. Well, come out now, man.
Come on, come talk the things now, man. Talk the things now, people. Say something, please.
They don't want to speak. Hey, look at me.
They want to type. They just want to type.
Hi, good night. Good night.
Good night.
You all hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Hi.
All right.
Hi.
I am Sharon, and I am very pleased, very impressed by the presentation. I live right here on Kenny Cyrus Street, and I did not know that it had such organizations a foot walk away. So I am very pleased, very impressed, and I am glad that we are doing things to help our youths. Because I mean, enterprise and community has always been doomed and gloom. Only bad come out of enterprise, but it's really nice and refreshing to know that we have this in our community. So great job, guys. Where I can help, if there's any help, I mean, Janelle knows me, Carol knows me, and I'm not sure who else knows me. And I can help, they can reach out or we can do something. But great job, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And let me put it this way, right? Besides, it's not by our will and by our understanding, but I will always say this is by the grace of God. He put us together to be able to do what it is we are doing. So I am not going to shy away from how great God has been to us. So anybody else, thank you very much for that remark. We totally appreciate it. So we're going with two more. We're going with two more, looking for two more persons. I ain't taking collection all here. I ain't asking her to come down the altar. I just asking her to give me two. Come on screen, please now, or talk the things.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
I must say, I really thank you all for this presentation tonight. It has been very informative. It had things that you all mentioned, that Royette mentioned, that I never knew, and now I could probably apply it when it comes to my daughter and myself and my family, right? Actually, I had posted, I typed a message earlier on asking about, oh gosh, sorry, oh gosh, I don't know why I forget, codependency, sorry, right? And I was asking if codependency is also part of mental illness.
Yeah, it is part of. You said it's codependency or mental illness. No, it is not a mental illness, but it is one of the symptoms or the signs.
Okay. Then, because I know a lot of people out here could be codependent and may not know that they are, you know? So right now I'm reading a book that a friend gave to me, and with this knowledge you all given tonight as well, putting them together, it helped me a lot. In this less than 2 hour session, I feel very relieved. I'm not lying. It was a stressor for me at first because I started to feel the back of my head started to hurt me because I realized like a lot of things you were saying was actually hitting the nail on the head. You know, things that we would be experiencing and not even aware of on a daily basis. Right, so I thank you very, very much. And I hope that Mr. Justin Lewis informs me of any meetings that you will be having in the near future. Thank you so much.
May I ask where you're from? What part of Trinidad and Tobago you're from?
I'm from Shogunas, but I'm living in Rima at the moment.
All right, thank you very much. We just wanted to know that for records. So we have two ladies. Thank you very much. We have two ladies. Are there any men in the house who could speak? Any men in the house? I want to hear a male voice outside of Justin and myself. Any men in the house who could speak as regards, and don't matter call no names, you know. And all those sign out either. Any man in the house as regards who is on the call? I see in Mr. Daniel Brito. Mr. Brito, you want to say a few words, sir?
Oh Lord, why you
One thing, Mr. Edwards, before you go to Mr. Brito, if possible, can the sites as requested, be typed in the chat for anyone who wants to get all the contact information or seek more knowledge or further information as regards to the mental health workshop. So I will appreciate if it's typed in the comments at this time so everyone could have access to it.
Let me share my page. Give me a second here.
All right. So while that's being done, Mr. Brito, you could talk. Are you there? I see Mr. Brito. Is he there? I see also Mr. Jason.
Yes, Mr. Brito, it's not a male. It's not a male. It's
all right.
Brito.
Miss Brito.
Yes, Miss Brito. Yes. The program is really interesting. Was really informative to me, and it kind of opened my eyes to certain things that I've been going through, and even I noticed with my kids, because I have a twin, and Daniel and Daniela Brito, and they sometimes what they had said with them, they're slightly autism or they're speech delayed. But she, especially the girl, she go through a little phase sometimes. She will like just be dazed and like talking to herself and this kind of thing. And you pinpoint certain things, and it kind of opened my eye to really look at it. And even with myself, because sometimes I just have these mood swings because I'm a single parent, and it really opened my eyes. So no, I really thank you guys for highlighting that, and I look forward to the other meetings.
Ms. Brito, can you tell us which part of Trinidad and Tobago you're from?
Tunapuna.
Thank you very much for that. We have any South people in the house? Anybody from Tobago, anybody from South? You could just put the AA in the chat and which part you're from. As a matter of fact, in the chat.
South.
Roxy, talk to us, Roxy. What part of South you're from?
Roxy, why you in the people and them thing, girl?
Why I them thing? Come on, Miss Royette. You know I have to be here wherever you are.
Ah boy, she had free Miss Royette, so she come. If people know how much you had to pay for this, there you go. They had free Miss Royette. Roxy, talk to us, Roxy. Tell us your how it went for you. And what part of South are you from? Roxy, are you there? It don't seem that she's there.
Yes, I am.
Okay, talk to us, Roxy.
I'm from Pleasantville. I'm from San Fernando. Yeah.
And how was the session for you, Roxy?
It was very good, informative. As being as a preschool teachers, you know, when you're working with children, you were able to see different, you know, in behaviors. You're able to pick up certain things from them as well, you know, in all what you learn. Because some of the stuff I knew, but, you know, it's good to have a refresher in it, and you know, listening to the new stuff again. And according to Ms. Roy, you know, things change and it's new stuff we have now, as she said, to the research. So it's very, you know, you have to keep on top of it all the time because things are changing. And as teacher, a preschool teacher, and that's one of my passion with children, and I always want to go with that, learning something to deal with children on the whole. So it was very informative as well for my grandchildren too, who were sitting down and taking in the sessions as well.
Thank you very much. Mrs. James, Uncle Justin, we have Rio Clara in the house. We have Marval in the house. We have Sawa in the house. Yeah, but we seen something. So guys, before I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I want to end with three things I'm asking. The reason we were able to grow so significantly is something called network marketing. You have a network of people, friends, family, share the information, right? Mrs. James, I just wanted to be able to type in where they could find you on social media, please. Your company's information. Uncle Justin, you do the same thing as well. And Randy, type in ours for Futsal 868. So what we asking is three things. One, follow us on social media. It is one of the best ways to know when next we are going to have it. Yes, we have your information on our database, but what we recognize, and that's why we created the WhatsApp chat, is that many times the email marketing is going into your junk, right? We have a session tomorrow at 7 p.m. It is not Mrs. James. However, we have another hard hitter as well in Miss Avril Carter, who will be on at 7 p.m. So if it is you can't make it, share with a friend. Please, I'm begging you, I'm asking you, Randy, please also take the link and share it with any group as well. Share with a friend. Secondly is, follow us on social media. Strays Youth Empowerment, Futsal 868, and Mrs. James page. Mrs. James, what's the name of the page, what the organization again? My apologies. What's the name of your organization?
Positive Mindset.
Positive Mindset Inc.
Yeah.
Positive Mindset Inc. So that's the second one. And thirdly, ladies and gents, it's very important. We are a national sporting organization. Futsal is indoor football, and Strays is an NGO. With that being said, we have a lot of activities for children, and it's important to be able to balance mind, body, and soul. We are speaking to the mental side of it, and we want you all to work with us to be able to help develop your child holistically. Those are the only 3 things we ask. These sessions are free. We're not asking you all for any money. We're just asking for you all to support us in those 3 ways. Okay? So, with that being said, we wish you all God's riches blessings.
Also, Jeffrey.
Yes, Uncle Justin.
Jeffrey, also, what I really wish to do is congratulate each and every parent who came tonight. Reason being, a lot of parents, and then working with youths as I do on a daily basis, and which allows me to work with the parents. A lot of parents feel they always know, and everything is always okay. And sometimes things like these, they feel they are too big to participate in such things like these. And only until they really get involved and make that time and effort, they will get to understand the importance of gaining knowledge in certain aspects of their life. So I really want to congratulate you all for taking this opportunity and giving up this time to really make a positive impact in your life. And we hope that tomorrow, please, you all tune in as well for another episode with the parents. Share it, share the link when it is sent to you, and try to get your family members and friends involved. Remember, you can help someone by simply sharing that link and convincing them to join this program tomorrow, which should be a great and interesting thing for them. Thanks.
Excuse, what is it going to be the same link that we linked in with today, the password and the
No, ma'am. No,
okay.
it's a second link. And if it is you don't have our contact numbers, it's simple. You can send us a WhatsApp message to 787-7678. That is 78-SPORT. So that's 787-7678. If it is you are not a part of the chat or you didn't receive the email the email marketing message, we'll graciously send you all the link. So again, on behalf of the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Strays Youth Empowerment Committee, and Positive Mindset Inc., which is Mrs. James' company, thank you, and definitely look forward to more. To the parents who have older kids, that is the 16 to 17, the 18 to 21, we are going to have another session before the beginning of the school term because the children ask for it. So follow us on social media. We'll get all of the information and it is free. So tell a friend. Remember the 3 things we ask. And again, please remember the 3 W's. Wear your mask. My name is not Mr. Rowley, but I'll say it. Wear your mask properly. Wash your hands and watch your distance. So God's richest blessings to all of you all. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.